Good morning and praise the Lord Bible Way. So in 1994, which, believe it or not, it's been 30 years ago. 1994 has been 30 years. Can you believe that? Congress passed the King Holiday and Service Act, and it designated Martin Luther King Jr.'s Day as a national day of service. It's observed each year on the third Monday of January. And this MLK Day of Service is the only federal holiday, as Brother BJ reminded me a few weeks ago, that's recognized as a day of service. It's a day on and not a day off, aiming at inspiring volunteers to continue their efforts well beyond the holiday and create lasting impacts in their communities. Each year, we reflect on Dr. King's life, on how he was born on January 15th, 1929 in Atlanta, and he attended Morehouse College. He became a minister, and he dedicated himself to just challenging the perceptions of equality in this country and around the world. During this time, we hear excerpts from his speeches, words that shook the foundations of hatred and bigotry, some of which still exist today. One of the most iconic moments in Dr. King's legacy occurred in 1963 when he stood on the steps of the Lincoln Memorial and delivered his timeless I Have a Dream speech to over 250,000 people. Yet one of the most remarkable and little-known stories surrounding that speech involves the original manuscript. The speech ended up in the hands of George Raveling, a 26-year-old former college basketball star. Raveling, who had no intention of attending that speech and the march, was encouraged by his friend's father to attend. This father lent his car to his son and Raveling and gave them the money to attend, urging the men to witness this historic event. Upon arriving in Washington, Raveling and his friends, they were just walking around the Capitol. They were recruited by a march organizer, because they were basketball players, 6'4", to serve as security guards at the podium. As Raveling stood there, overlooking the crowd and the speakers, he never imagined that he was about to become a part of history. After King delivered his unforgettable speech, something remarkable happened. As Dr. King folded his speech and began to walk away from the podium, Raveling, driven by a sudden impulse, asked, "Dr. King, can I have a copy of that speech?" And without hesitation, King handed over the typewritten pages, unwittingly, unknowingly entrusting the physical embodiment of his dream to Raveling, a young student who would cherish it for decades. Raveling kept the speech tucked away, recognizing its profound historical and emotional value. It wasn't until 1983, while he was the head coach at the University of Iowa, that he mentioned it just in passing during an interview, and the story of the historical document became public. While Raveling went on to become a trailblazer in the world of college basketball, becoming the first African-American head coach in the Pacific 8 Conference in Washington State. He was inducted into the National Collegiate Basketball Hall of Fame in 2013. He served as the Nike Director of International Basketball. He never considered selling the speech, despite receiving offers worth millions. To Raveling, it was more than just a piece of history. It was a symbol of Dr. King's power to inspire, to unify, and to touch individual lives. This individual moment, it speaks to Dr. King's incredible ability to connect with people in deeply personal ways. Raveling's life was forever shaped by that single exchange, and it reminds us that moments of connection can ripple through time, changing lives and communities long after they occur. On this Martin Luther King Jr.'s Day of Service, we are called to honor his legacy by reaching out to those around us and inspiring those as Dr. King did. Just as he moved George Raveling with his words and actions, we too can impact the lives with our own acts of service. As Dr. King once said, life's most persistent and urgent question is, what are you going to do for others? So let this be a day to act with purpose, touch hearts, and ensure that his dream lives on through our dedication to service. As we reflect on his legacy on this Martin Luther King Jr. Day, let us remember that even small impromptu acts like Raveling's question or request to have the copy of Dr. King's speech, it can have lasting consequences. In our service to others, we too can make history, keeping Dr. King's dream alive through actions of compassion, unity, and justice.
And give God a praise for Dr. Cedrek McFadden for that awesome tribute. And while you're standing, Sister Regina is going to lead us into that well-known hymn, We Shall Overcome. Everyone sing with uplifted voices.
We shall overcome. We shall overcome. We shall overcome someday. Oh, deep in my heart, I do believe, we shall overcome someday. We shall overcome someday. We'll walk hand in hand. We'll walk hand in hand. We'll walk hand in hand. Say, we'll walk hand in hand. We'll walk hand in hand someday. Oh, deep in my heart, I do believe, we shall overcome. We shall overcome someday.
Give God a praise for the life of the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. We will never forget the dream. We will never forget the dream. Thank you.